Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, it's the series where I do not provide the content, but sometimes you guys do, and most of the times, it's just random strangers reacting to Armchair GMs on Cap Friendly. Alright, not gonna spend too much time on this, but I don't think that a lot of people understood the point of this series. This is not me discussing realistic trade options. This is not me discussing things that I would like to see happen or things that I think are going to happen. This is me literally just going on Cap Friendly and picking out Armchair GMs and me giving my opinion on them. This is in no way the way that the previous installment in this series was received. Although, yes, I did admit in the previous video that including Jack Eichel to the Leafs in that Armchair GM was a little bit, just a little bit clickbait. But it was one of the ones on the website, and therefore, it's fair play to include in this series. And I think that for the most part, many of you understand what this series is for. This series is for you and me to have a little bit of a laugh at, because it's crazy to see some of the stuff that people put on here, and sometimes people are just kind of testing the waters on ideas, and they just want to do something for fun, you know. It just sparks a conversation, and that's what all of these videos are for. Not just this one particular series, but all of my videos. All we're trying to do here is create a conversation. Doing YouTube and making these videos, specifically this series, has made me realize a lot of things. First and foremost, that you guys are absolutely amazing, because this is a series of mine that is original. It was my idea. I was surfing through the forums one day and I thought to myself, you know what, this would be a hilarious video series and one that I could probably do once every week or two or so. And it's been awesome to see how much this series has grown, with the previous installment receiving almost 4,000 views. So thank you guys for that. But the prevailing thing that I've seen here, especially from doing these videos, is that a lot of people just hate to have fun. And that's not me. All these videos that I do here on the channel is because I'm having fun doing them, and hopefully you guys are having fun watching them and participating along, because I honestly just love the way that this series has progressed from when it was first started, because this series has progressed to even include you guys. So if you would like to be featured in the next reacting to Armchair GM video here on my channel, all you have to do is create an account on Cap Friendly, fill out your Armchair GM, and leave the link to it in the comment section of this video, and I will include you in the next video. Okay, so let's have some fun here and jump right into the first one from one of you guys. It's brought to us by Hockey Guy 12345, and he's made a couple of RFA signings here, one of them hinting to a trade that's going to come up here in a second here. But Mark Jankowski, Travis Dermott, Ilya Mikheyev, all relatively fair deals. Maybe the Travis Dermott deal for 2 years is a little bit unrealistic there, but the trade, Mark Jankowski and Matthew Tkachuk coming over from the Calgary Flames for William Nylander, Alexander Kerfoot, Semyon Durarginstev, and a second-round pick in 2022. And then before I share my overall thoughts on that trade, let's just get to the last trade that he made here, Andreas Johnsson, for a couple of draft picks, just purely a cap move here. And the reason why I don't really like Matthew Tkachuk for essentially William Nylander and Kerfoot, because Kerfoot and Jankowski are kind of just interchangeable there, is that Matthew Tkachuk after this season only has 2 years left at $7 million. William Nylander, basically the same 6.9 whatever million dollars it is, for 4 more seasons after this one, and I don't think that the Leafs are going to be able to afford to extend Matthew Tkachuk. So if you really, really want to acquire Matthew Tkachuk, I mean, I think a more realistic player to throw in that trade is Mitch Marner, because he's signed for longer and has a higher cap hit. It just balances out the money there for the money that Matthew Tkachuk will be making on his next contract. But Calgary's not going to make that deal, obviously, just for a couple of reasons. But if you really, really want Matthew Tkachuk, I think that the more realistic option is to throw Mitch Marner on there. But I don't really mind this too much. You are getting a cheaper third line for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Mark Jankowski, Alexander Kerfoot. We discussed it last video. I do think that Mark Jankowski has a lot of what the Leafs are missing. He is more of a defensive first centerman, and I really like that he was able to provide positive defensive metrics, advanced metrics, in just about even zone starts between the offensive and the defensive zone. And then this year he was heavily in the defensive zone, and his advanced analytics suffered because of it, obviously. But Probably a player that you could use in a more defensive oriented role and that will give you positive results here. The decor, I mean, Dylan DeMello obviously is an upgrade here on things, and you're having Rasmus Sandin start in the minors, which a lot of people don't really like, and I'm leaning more towards the side of not really liking that idea too much. I know that I perpetuated that maybe that might be a good idea for a little bit, but I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the Maple Leafs' defense. I'm on the side that they go into the season without making an upgrade and then assess the situation as it goes, because if you were to wait till next trade deadline to upgrade the defense, then you'd have assets like Dermott, like Liljegren, like a first round pick to go out there and really get the guy that best suits your team at the time. Okay, and this next one that I want to click on here, I think is going to dominate most of the video, and it's one with a lot of trades in it, but it's from Fires Ferks, I believe is the name, if Lou was still GM. I did a video talking about Kyle Dubas versus Lou Lamoriello way back in about January or February-ish when I was a smaller channel here on YouTube, maybe about just 400-ish subscribers, but it did pretty well based on just my audience, and the reception that I got back from it was mostly positive. I nickel and dimed both sides, and I thought that I was fairly objective in the video and talking about both of them. Now, right off the bat here, Hainsey extension signed in summer of 2019. Okay, wow, Babcock never gets fired, and Justin Holl is never given a chance. Maybe Justin Holl is not a top 4 defenseman, but he definitely is a top 6 defenseman in the NHL. And I mean, his season was kind of dominated with the contract extension and then getting the flu and then kind of rebounding a lot, but playing more minutes than what he probably should have been. So Ron Hainsey, 2 years, $3 million. I mean, okay, whatever. Patrick Marleau, 1 year, $3 million. When is Patrick signing that contract? Because he got bought out by the Hurricanes and then signed a 1 year, $700K deal with the Sharks and is now on the Penguins. If the Leafs were to still hold on to him, I don't get how he's making $3 million, because if they did the whole Brooks Orpik thing where they traded him to another team, that team bought him out, and then the Leafs re-signed him, that wouldn't work, because Marleau's was on a 35-plus contract, so the team would have absorbed the entire $6.25 million cap hit for this season and next season instead of just a percentage of it, like the Colorado Avalanche did with Brooks Orpik and the Washington Capitals and the Philip Grubauer deal. And there's no way that that would have happened, because then that team would have also had to have absorbed the salary bonus that Marleau was owed, like the Carolina Hurricanes eventually did, to be able to buy him out in that window before free agency, because you can't buy out a 35-plus contract in the second window. So I don't think that this person really understands the rules and the whole salary situation with the NHL cap. I don't think that this person understands that at all, but okay, whatever. William Nylander, 6 years, $6.5 million. Okay, so there is a little bit of savings there. Maybe the contract situation would have been handled a little bit differently. I did give credit to Lou in that sort of sense, but we're going to see this summer with Matthew Barzal. We're going to see if this is true, if Lou is really the master negotiator that everyone has painted him out to be here in Toronto the last couple of seasons. I mean, I love the Morgan Riley and Nazem Kadri contracts, but if Matthew Barzal absolutely takes him to the cleaners this offseason, a lot of people are just going to have to shut up after that. So William Nylander, they might have gotten a little bit of savings on there. Mitch Marner for 5 years and $10 million. I would have almost prefer him at the rate that he's at now for an extra season, because after that 6th season that he's under contract for right now, what's he going to be making in that season? 12, 13, 14 million dollars. So I would have rather have just paid him $900K more over the course of the contract than have to re-sign that contract in the 6th season instead of not having it. And then Anton Strawman at 3 years, $5.5 million here. But I guess he's reversing the trade with the LA Kings for Jake Muzzin. So it's like, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Anton Strawman for 3 years at $5.5 million and those prospects, or Jake Muzzin at the contract that he's at right now? And in my mind, if you're looking at Grundstrom, he's probably going to be a third-line forward. Sean Durzi has had injury problems, but he's still too young to just write off. I mean, he hasn't had the best season at the AHL. The Maple Leafs definitely do have better defensive prospects his age right now at the AHL level. And I mean, Tobias Bjornfoot on the same kind of career path as Rasmus Sandin and Timothy Liljegren are right now, and they're all three of them are Swedish. So yeah, that's definitely a prospect that I would miss. But at the same time here, you're just trading him away for Nolan Foote because he's gritty. I mean, in this scenario, you have Ron Hainsey and Anton Strawman, two older defensemen that are part of your core, and you don't have Jake Muzzin. So why would you be trading away a defenseman for a forward when the Leafs are already stacked on forward? That trade doesn't make any sense here. And you're trading Nick Robertson? Okay, that's the biggest problem with this entire thing, and now I'm just upset because that doesn't make any sense. Why would you trade Nick Robertson? Nicholas Robertson? Who's Nicholas Robertson? I thought his name was Nick. Is that like the situation where he's a defenseman, but he's actually a forward? Like, with the whole Steve Dangle thing. 6'4", just what we need. No more little guys. I don't care if he scores. He's tiny. Reminds me of that DeBrincat guy. Man, does he suck. This guy just seems like an absolute troll. But the problem with this is that there are Leaf fans who actively believe stuff like this, who actively preach stuff like this, who have a platform of sort of sense and that brainwash people to believe that this stuff is actually true, that this is right, that you should make these two trades that are on the screen right now. There are people that believe, I don't know, this stuff really strikes a nerve with me because it's a problem. It's a back and forth with the fan base that just, it causes friction every single time it comes up because there are people that are just trolls who say this stuff just to ignite conversations because they're bored and have nothing else to do. And then there's people who just follow along with it because yeah, he's big, the other guy's small. Makes no sense. Nick Robertson had the 7th best goal scoring season in the OHL ever this season, and you're gonna trade that guy for Samuel Bolduc because he's 6'4". I don't even know anything about Samuel Bolduc, and I know that that's a bad trade. And I know that there are people on the other side of the debate that would have rather had Lou Lamoriello as the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs or even Mark Hunter, which I'm not looping in Mark Hunter with any line of thinking here, but there are people that would have preferred Lou Lamoriello to Kyle Dubas that don't think this way, right? They're not so far extreme on the other side of the spectrum when it comes to Toronto Maple Leafs and hockey stuff. Tyler Bozak, why sign the superstar when you can get, okay, this is just, I don't care about these Euro players. They'll never make a difference. Besides, they're all tiny. I think Ilya Mikheyev could beat this guy up with one hand. If you want to talk about, I mean, okay, fine. The Nazem Kadri thing, yeah, I don't care if he gets suspended every other game too. He's got some grit. In my heart, I love Nazem Kadri, so I'm not even gonna. Why would you reverse the Nikita Zaitsev deal? Do you understand that people in Ottawa actively hate Nikita Zaitsev? And I mean, not even to mention all the off-ice stuff that happened with him this season. He's just an awful, awful person. And you're trading Rasmus Sandin and then Marner, and so you're going. Okay. I take back everything that I said in the previous clip. This is this is obviously just a troll. The troll at some. Okay, yeah, this was definitely worth going through. Okay, and I actually changed my mind. We're gonna wrap up the video now because the previous video yesterday was very, very long, and I don't want to overload you guys with just long video after long video. I mean, I know that there are ads on the video right now, but not everyone needs to be over 10 minutes. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to click the like button if you did like it. Subscribe for more because more is always on the way. And guys, remember that even if you wanted Lou Lamoriello to be the GM longer instead of Kyle Dubas, you don't have to think crazy and ridiculous things like that.